What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Facebook emoji anomaly. So, I want to start off by defining anomaly. The word anomaly means something that deviates from what is standard, normal, or expected. And next I'm going to define tryhard. Tryhard is somebody whose effort level and emotional investment is excessively high for the level of play in which they are competing. I am going to be using Emojipedia to describe this theory that I've made, and I'm going to be looking at two specific makers of emojis, Apple and Microsoft. Apple and Microsoft are probably, in my opinion, the two biggest makers of emojis, and they're very baseline. Microsoft's is a little too simple. Apple's is a little too detailed. But they're very baseline. So, with that said, we're going to start out with Chapter 1, and that is faces. We're going to start off with the classic smile, the grinning face, the first emoji, the original. And it's just a simple gesture to say, hey, I'm happy, or I'm okay. It can be used for many different things. And you'll look at Facebook's, okay? So you've got Apple's, you've got Microsoft's, very simple, and you've got Facebook's, and there isn't much to say about it except you can kind of bring out a style here. The eyes are a different color, and it's a little too detailed in my opinion, but it's fine. You can't mess this up. Next, we're gonna go to the face with tears of joy. And here we have Apple's, okay? Baseline. Microsoft's, again, very simple, where, you can't say it's wrong, you can't say it's right. It's fine. And here's where we talk about overexpression. And Facebook does it best. Microsoft, I'd say the mouth is about a 25% of the emoji. Facebook's, it's a 50. It's huge, and it's not necessary, and it's not needed. And we'll talk about this later. But I want to go to the mouth with money, or the money mouth face, or whatever. And so you've got the classic Apple. It's pretty normal. This is one of my least favorite Microsofts. It's got the dollar bill coming out. The eyes are really big. But it's alright. And as you go down, you get to Facebook's. And it's horrifying. It looks like ATM. If it was a person, it looks sad. The mouth, it's not smiling like Microsoft's. Microsoft's, I might not like it, but at least it's smiling. It looks happy. It looks like it's happy. It has money coming out of its mouth for whatever reason. But Facebook's looks scared, and it looks horrifying. And now we're going to go to the expressionless face, or the neutral face, or whatever. How can they mess this up, right? Two straight lines and a straight mouth. It's easy. It's not hard. I could make this emoji. They could say it's hard, but not this. I could make this. Okay. How? Why do they go so try-hard? Why did they have to make the eyes a different color? Why did they have to bend them just a little bit? Why was that needed? Why do they want to differ themselves so badly? All of these look the exact same, and that's okay. Why do they have to look different? And that's what I don't know. Next, we're going to go to the face with a thermometer in its mouth, which kind of brings up a new topic, which is shading. And they only added it's not terrible in this one, but Apple's is, it's simple. Microsoft's I actually don't love because the mouth is so tilted, but it's alright. And Facebook's, again, it gets to shading, and it gets to trying to differ themselves and just being try-hard overall. Why is it needed? I don't know. Why is it necessary? I don't know. And why do they want to do it? I don't know. So next we're going to go to the poop emoji. a classic emoji. I think it used to be really popular at one point. The apple emoji, it's a classic. I don't like it, but I can't say anything wrong about it since it's just like, this is one of the classic emojis. Microsoft's is very simple. I actually really like Microsoft because of how simple they make stuff. It's very consistent, which is important. WhatsApp is horrifying, but Facebook's is disgusting. It looks like the stuff of nightmares, but I don't understand. Why didn't they dilate them? The dilated pupils, which is a consistent thing with Apple's and Microsoft's. Why didn't they dilate them? Why did they make them so small that it's horrifying? Why did they make the eyes look like they're sinking into its skull? It isn't necessary and it isn't needed and it's scary. Next, we're going to go to the smiling face with horns. Okay. So we've got some purple, we've got some red. I have no preference, but, how can they mess it up? They've got plenty of wiggle room. They can make it red, they can make it purple. They can add white in the eyes. They don't have to, but they can. How are they going to mess this up? They turned it into my nightmare. Okay, let's look at some of the good things. It's purple. Okay, they chose one of the base colors. It's smiling. That was important. It has horns. Okay. Other than that, why are the eyes horrifying? Why are the horns black when the rest are all the same color as their skin? They're obviously trying to differ themselves, but it really isn't working. Next, we're going to go to the clown face. Now, all clowns are, scary depending on the person, but Apple's is fine, and you just gotta look at the baselines, it should look like some of these up here. How can they mess it up? It's just a clown. It's so easy to do. You just need, you don't have to have the blue around the eyes. You need blushes, you need hair. Some of them are blue, which is fine. You need the lipstick, you need the nose. How can they mess this up? They had to add a hat, but my biggest problem is, and I think this is pretty obvious, why is the face paint not on the entire face? All of the rest are like that, and I'm not saying they're realistic, but emojis don't have to be realistic. Why is it yellow on the outside? And why is it overly expressed? I don't understand. And for the end of this chapter, we're going to look at the goblin. So, this is a pretty classic emoji in my opinion. You got the mustache. Apple's isn't very good in my opinion on this. It looks like a 3D render. But, whatever. That means Facebook can not do that bad because Apple did bad, right? You're wrong. They have a million wrinkles. The chin looks more like a butt than my butt. Why are the eyes yellow? None of the other ones are yellow. There's an insane amount of wrinkles. There's no mustache. There's no beard. It isn't necessary, and I don't understand why. And now we're going to go to our second chapter, which is body parts. And unfortunately, there aren't too many body parts. It kind of just revolves around the biceps and the leg. So we're going to start with the biceps. Apple's, and I don't really like any of them on this, except for Microsoft's, which I don't know why, but I guess the simplicity really pulls through here, because it's just a dismembered part of your body, which is a little odd. Apple's has no detail in the arm, which is fine, I guess, even though it's a little odd looking, I guess. But you go down to Facebook's, and I can see each individual muscle in this. There's too much detail. And it's weird. Then we can go to the leg, which is where this really shines through, Apple's, again, isn't terrible. Microsoft's is actually pretty good, as it doesn't have a lot of detail, which helps not make it unsettling. And Facebook's is awful. And this goes to the part about detail. There's too much, and especially with this, it's just unsettling. It isn't necessary, and it's frightening, and it's weird, and it just, ugh. And that already concludes the body part texture chapter. So we're going to go to people. which is our next chapter. And we're going to start from, their birth, so a baby. And you'll notice consistency. Apple, they have this yellow piece of hair. That'll be consistent. That'll stay the same. This could be a boy or a girl, but luckily it's a baby, so it doesn't matter. Microsoft's is fine. It's consistent, whatever. Facebook's looks like Minecraft Steve. Then we go to the boy. Apple's looks fine. Microsoft's looks fine. They're consistent, yellow hair, like it should be. It's fine. And Facebook's is horrifying, and I could go all on about this art style. The ears are too big. The mouth looks like a triangle. The eyes are just unsettling. It's overly expressed. I don't like how the hair looks on any of them, but I'm not going to go into that too much. I'm just going to, it looks okay. But the main thing with this art style, and as we go into a girl, the main thing is it's a different art style from the faces. It's a different art style. And you'll notice that it's inconsistent, and the art style constantly changes. The girl, it just looks weird, but like, I don't know. I could go on about it and on, but I'm not going to. I have no reason to. So we're going to move on to the person. Now, the person is where this becomes a problem. The person is supposed to be a gender-neutral adult. So you can't tell if it's a boy or a girl. With apples, it has lips, and it has slightly defined eyebrows or eyelashes. The hair could be a boy or a girl's. So you can tell that you could see it as a girl and you could see it as a boy. Microsoft's, again, slightly pink lips. The hair could be a girl or a boy, and they don't have much of the problem with the eyes because all of them look the same. But then you get to Facebook. And here's where the problem sets in. If I asked you, is this a girl or a boy? What would you say? I know what I'd say. I'd say that's a boy. And I would be sure it's a boy. My reasoning, it has no lips. Usually, with most of these, like WhatsApps, you can see it has lips. Also, they have defined eyelashes to tell it's a girl, because typically when you make an illustration of people, if you're drawing a girl, it has defined eyelashes and defined lips. So you just give it slightly defined. They don't have that on Facebook's, so it looks like a guy. The hair doesn't look like a girl's. Most of them have this kind of swoosh. Facebook doesn't have that. It's just messy. It looks like a guy. I can't see a girl out of that, which is somewhat of a problem. We can move on to the man. Most of the men have facial hair. So you've got Apple's consistent again. Facial hair just to show it's a guy. And you get down to Facebook's and you'll notice, yeah, this is a guy, of course. But you'll notice those eyelashes are the same as the gender-neutral adult, who should be a guy or a girl. And the lips are the same as the gender-neutral adult, who should be a guy or a girl. The hair's different, but that gender-neutral adult looks more like a guy than a girl. And then you'll get to the woman, and you'll be like, oh, well, the woman must look the same, right? If it must not have lips, it must not have the eyelashes. Well, it does. It has the lips. It has the defined eyelashes. Why didn't they define the eyelashes to show that that it could be a woman? Why didn't they give it lips with a slightly darker shade of yellow to show that it could be a woman? I don't know. And that's so weird. But we're just gonna move on. There's the old man. You just need wrinkles, a receding hairline, mustache, whatever. And it just looks weird. And I don't know why. Why does it look so weird? The old woman. Most of them have a bun just to show it's a woman because their hair isn't usually down. Glasses or no glasses. Wrinkles, obviously. Defined eyelashes. Maybe lips. Some of them have lips, like WhatsApp, Microsoft. But what does it do? That could be a guy. Why did they take away the feminine features? Why did they take away the defined eyelashes. They can take away the lips. I mean, Apple took away the lips and it looks fine. So why did they get rid of the eyelashes? Why does it look like a guy? I don't know. And we're going to move on to way down here, way at the bottom. And that would be the zombie. So, the zombie's interesting. How can they mess this up, right? You've got these grayish blues and grayish greens. You've got normal green. Google's is kind of disgusting looking, but it's not too detailed. Microsoft's looks like Minecraft Steve. How can they mess this up, right? They've got so many options, so many things to look like, and they've made a nightmare. It's far too detailed. They didn't have to add the missing finger. They didn't have to give it this weird position. And I think that's a key part, is the position. Look at all these. They're just hands straight forward, and yet this one is just so weird. It's got the brain coming out, which is just disgusting. The very tattered clothing, the ribs showing, it's malnourished. It's disgusting, and why do they do it? And I don't know. It's supposed to be an emoji, not a picture. And with that, we move on to our chapter 4, which is animals. And animals, there's a whole anomaly of their own. It's odd. So, we're going to start with my favorite emoji, which is the dragon. The apple dragon is my favorite emoji out of every person who makes emojis. It's got good lighting, it's detailed, but it's not overly expressed. It has a nice curl to its tail, which is almost bad, but isn't too bad. It's got a nice shape, a nice, it's nice. It's clean overall detail, but I don't feel like it's too much, and I can't really tell why, but I just do. And I mean, this is kind of treading the line. I just think this is a good emoji because it looks cool, not as its use as an emoji. Like, if I saw this on my phone, a little tiny, half an inch icon, would I be able to tell that's a dragon because it's so detailed? I probably would, but, it's just so much, right? Microsoft's I actually like. It's very clean. It's very nice. But Facebook's, and you'll notice the biggest problem is it's inconsistent. It's a different color. It's 2D, not 3D. It's almost overly expressed, but not really. It's just odd. Why did they change the consistency? Why? Why is it 2D? Why is it not 3D like the rest? Why does it look like a normal emoji? And the rest, which I don't hate this emoji. I think this one's fine. But why doesn't it look like the rest of their emojis? So that's weird. We're gonna move on to the dog. The dog face and the dog. And this is the one where I actually like. I actually like Facebook's dog face. Not really their dog itself, but their dog face is probably my favorite out of all of their emojis because it's the best one. It's the best dog out of all of them. Apple's, that doesn't even look like a dog. Its tongue is coming out of its neck, and I hate it. Microsoft's is a little better because you can actually tell the dog breed. It's like a hound of some sort or a beagle. Again, the tongue coming out of its neck, kind of weird, but it's okay. And then you get to Facebook's. It's a Shiba Inu. The tongue is out of its mouth. It's consistent. It looks like the rest where the tongue is actually out, which is good. It's cute. And the thing with Facebook's is, not only do I like Shiba Inus, they're my favorite dog breed, but another thing is why it's so good is because the rest are so bad. So we go to dog, and they're going to stay consistent. They're going to give us the Shiba Inu. Apple is inconsistent with their dog, which is good. But you'll notice they have these legs going into a V shape, one leg a little bit in front of the other, and one leg up. Microsoft's, you can see one leg a little bit in front of the other. Samsung's, they're like this. That just adds a little bit of motion. And Facebook's looks like a toy that I'd put on my desk. The legs are all flat. It looks like something I'd 3D print, which normally isn't a problem. I mean, at least it's consistent. It's a Shiba Inu on the face. It's a Shiba Inu as the dog. So why is this a problem, you may ask? Well, if you go to something like the tiger, notice Apple puts one paw up, one leg in front. Google does the same thing, so does Samsung. Microsoft has that leg in front because they're limited due to lack of detail. But then you get to Facebook's, and it's stiff. It's very stiff. No legs moving, no difference. The deer, Apple's same thing, little bit of motion. Microsoft has that little bit of motion, but Facebook's is stiff. And this is a kind of a weird thing. I don't know why they make them so stiff. I don't know. It's not really necessary. And they add a lot of detail to everything else, so why don't they make their animals look... Why don't they just add a little bit of motion to their animals? Why don't they do that if they add so much detail? And I don't know. So, now we are going to finish up, and this will be Chapter 5, the answer to this anomaly. And I think it's the lack of simplicity. It looks like a picture, it's not an emoji. Emojis are simple little things that you just send to your friends without thinking. You aren't sending them the Mona Lisa. There's a lack of consistency. Unlike Microsoft, which has a sheer and... Microsoft is perfect with their consistency. Everything looks the same. This huge black border. Whether you like it or not, I've heard some people don't like Microsoft, but at least it's consistent. They're overly expressed, especially with their faces. They look like they're fearing for their lives when they're scared. They are constantly, their mouths are moving in weird positions, and it's just odd, you know? Which you can especially see here in the woozy face compared to the rest. It's just weird. And lastly, I want to say, there's just too much detail. There's way too much detail. It's like they want to go for detail, which is always a good thing, you know? You want to go for detail. But when you're doing an emoji, it's a field that shouldn't have detail, right? There's a nice gray area, and you don't want to tread outside too far either way. But unfortunately, Facebook has. And you can see here, Apple gives this nice one. Microsoft is a little bit too. There's no shading whatsoever, which I almost don't like. But Facebook's is just like the mouth. They look horrified, which would be fine, but why don't they just make it like the rest? It's so unnecessary. Why is the shading so try-hard? And that brings us to the answer, which is Facebook is just trying way too hard on these emojis. And that leaves us to our final sentence, which is Facebook. It's supposed to be an emoji. It's not a picture, and it's not a piece of art. Goodbye.